I'm Dr. Mollie Marti, and welcome to Resiliency Matters. Today, in a special edition, we are speaking with Bob Burg. Bob has spoken on influential leadership and sales platforms. His books in sales and marketing and leadership have sold over 1 million copies, well over 1 million copies. And the book we're going to be focusing on today, The Go-Giver, has sold 950,000 copies. Bob, I think I have bought many of those. I was looking in my library today and laughing because I don't have one right on my hands. And it's because I lent it out or gave it to someone. I don't think, I know that I haven't given away and bought books more than yours for clients, for colleagues, for friends and family. And so I thought it was pretty funny when I went to grab my copy that I thought would be there, and it wasn't.
Well, I appreciate that, Dr. Mollie. Thank you.
So the Go-Giver is a parable, a business parable, written about and bringing to life these 5 laws of stratospheric success. Would you give us a quick overview of the 5 laws?
Sure, and it's based on a basic premise that shifting your focus from getting to giving. And when we say giving in this context, we simply mean constantly and consistently providing immense value to others, understanding that doing so is not only a pleasant way of conducting business, it's the most profitable way as well. And not for some way out woo-woo reasons, but it's actually quite logical and rational when you're that person who moves off a focus on yourself and places it on making other people's lives better. People feel good about you. They want to get to know you. They like you. They trust you, and they want to see you succeed, and they want to be in relationship with you. So this takes place through, as you mentioned, 5 laws. Those are the laws of value, compensation, influence, authenticity, and receptivity.
Excellent. And I failed to mention, and I don't think you rarely fail to mention, because you honor your co-author so beautifully, and he stands in his own right as such an extraordinary human being. But John David Mann is your co-author in this, the Go-Giver series.
Well, so the best thing I ever did, Dr. Mollie, for the book was to ask John, and when I say ask John, I mean plead with John, to be the co-author and lead writer and storyteller. Because basically I'm a how-to guy, and all my books were always how-to books. John is a magnificent writer and storyteller, so it was really my privilege and honor to have the opportunity to co-author with him.
Yeah, well, you make a great team. So let's talk about the law of value. It's defined, your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than receive in payment. Talk about this.
Yeah, well, and that can sound very counterintuitive when you first hear it. Give more in value than you receive in payment. I mean, that sounds like a recipe for bankruptcy. So we have to understand the difference between price and value. Price is a dollar figure, a dollar amount. It's finite. It is what it is. Value, on the other hand, is the relative worth or desirability of a thing, of something, to the end user or beholder. In other words, what is it about this thing, this product, service, concept, idea, what have you, that brings so much worth or value to another person that they will willingly exchange their, in the business sense, money for it, or it might be time, or whatever it happens to be, while you still make a very healthy profit. Let's say we're talking about a for-profit business in this case, a small business, an accountant. You hire an accountant to do your taxes. She charges you $1,000. Let's say, we'll name a round figure, $1,000 to do your taxes. That is her fee, or literally her price, $1,000. But what value does she give you in exchange? Well, first, she saves you $5,000 in taxes. She saves you countless hours of time. She provides you and your family with the security and the peace of mind of knowing it was done correctly. So again, while price is finite, value can be both concrete in terms of that $5,000, but it can also be conceptual in terms of that peace of mind. So, which probably holds a lot more value than even the money that you save. So what she did is she gave you well over $5,000 in value in exchange for $1,000 price. She gave you more in value than what she received in payment. So you feel great about it, but she also made a very healthy profit because it was worth it to her to exchange her time and expertise for that money. In fact, in any free market-based exchange, and when I say free market, I simply mean no one is forced to do business with anyone else. People do it on their own volition. In any free market exchange, there are always two profits: the buyer profits and the seller profits, because each of them come away better off afterwards than they were before.
Yeah, that's always a check I happily write out, is that one to the accountant every year to do and do that piece of taxes for me. And you say, you know, asking does it make money or will it make money isn't a bad question. It's just that you want to ask, does it serve? Does it add value? And then you get to, does it make money?
Sure. Because remember, you know, people are going to buy from you for their reasons, not for your reasons. So if you lead with the question, you ask yourself, okay, this new project or plan or whatever, is it going to make money? Well, that's fine. But the first question you need to ask is, will it serve? Are there people who are going to want it? Will there be a marketplace for it? Will it bring value to people's lives? Now, if it does, now ask, will it make money? Because that's also important. I mean, you could have a great product or service everybody wants, everybody takes you up on, but if you're not going to make money from it, well, you've got a hobby or you've got something you're doing because you want to do it. That's great, but that's not a business. So if we're talking about business, and a nonprofit's also a business, because you've got to have money coming in to do the good that you want to do, then it's important. But you've got to lead with, does it serve? And you know, this is why John and I say, Dr. Mollie, that money is simply an echo of value. It's the thunder, if you will, to value's lightning, which means nothing more than the value must be the focus. The value comes first. The money you receive is simply a very natural result of the value you provide.
I love that. Okay, so law number 2, the law of compensation. Your income is determined by how many people you serve and how well you serve them. Talk about that.
Yeah, well, where law number 1 says give more in value than you take in payment, law number 2 tells us the more people whose lives we touch with the exceptional value we provide, the more money with which we'll be rewarded. So as one of the mentors in the story, Nicole Martin, the CEO, told Joe, law number 1, the law of value, represents your potential income. But law number 2 is all about how many lives you impact with that value, and that represents your actual income.
Excellent. And isn't that the good news, that we can always find more people to help? We can always find ways to increase our impact.
Exactly, and that's why both building relationships is so important and doing such a fantastic job for those who you're already doing business with, providing them with such an immensely valuable experience that they want to continue doing business with you and refer you to others.
Excellent. Leading us to law number 3, the law of influence. Your influence is determined by how abundantly you place other people's interests first.
Yeah, this is another one of those that sounds counterintuitive, perhaps counterproductive, maybe even downright Pollyanna-ish when you first hear it. But then you realize that the greatest leaders, top influencers, highest producing, highest money earning salespeople, this is how they run their lives and conduct their businesses. They're always looking out for others, the best interests of others. Now, let me clarify and qualify that, if I may, because it can easily be misunderstood. And I think this is very important. When we say place the other person's interests first, we do not mean you should ever be anyone's doormat or a martyr or self-sacrificial in any way. Absolutely not. It's just, as Joe, the protege in the story, learned from several of his mentors, the golden rule of business, of sales, entrepreneurship, what have you, is that all things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to those people they know, like, and trust. And there's simply no faster, more powerful, or more effective way to elicit those feelings toward you from others than by genuinely moving from an I focus or me focus to an other focus. Looking to, as Sam, one of the mentors in the story, advised Joe, making your win all about the other person's win. And as you do this constantly and consistently and develop a reputation for doing this, you will develop what we call your army of personal walking ambassadors.
Something everybody wants, that army of personal walking ambassadors. Talk about why we're not talking about keeping score here or keeping track of, I'll itch your back, you itch mine. You're talking about something really different here. You said the word
Yeah, well,
genuine.
it's the difference between a 50-50 relationship and a 100 relationship. When it's 50-50, it's okay. I'm going to do what I have to for you. You're not saying this, but that's really what you're communicating and what you're thinking. But I'm going to make sure you're doing for me, and I'm going to make sure and when that happens, you've got both people basically pulling back and pulling back on their value. When you've got people who are just looking at 100, what they're saying is, I am going to totally provide immense value to this other person without the attachment of what I receive. The paradox, of course, is when you do that, you bring so much value to another human being, they want to bring value to you. So you don't even have to have that other person who understands that 100% mindset first. They'll learn from you. And when they do, now you've got two people doing that. And that ends up, and you begin attracting more and more of those types of people into your life.
Without a doubt, good people attract good people. Our first segment, it's going to go quickly today with you, Bob Burg. Viewers, stay tuned for more Go Giver wisdom when we come back.
As the nation's doctor, I often get asked, what should I do if I think I might have coronavirus?
People who are sick should stay home. You don't go to an emergency room, you don't go to a clinic. You get on the phone and you ask for advice and instructions from your physician.
We don't want you to go into the ER or the doctor's office without talking to them first, because you might spread coronavirus to someone else. Please visit coronavirus.gov for more information.
Today, more than ever, you need fast, reliable internet. At Mediacom, we want you to know you can count on us. Our fiber-powered 100% gigabit technology network was built for the future. We have enormous capacity and power and 99.99% network reliability. So even though these are uncertain times, we're prepared, and you can be certain we'll keep your world connected.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Welcome back to Resiliency Matters. Today we are speaking with Bob Burg, co-author of The Go Giver. And Bob, we're talking about the 5 laws of stratospheric success. Law number 4 is the law of authenticity, saying the most valuable thing you have to give people is yourself.
Yeah, in that chapter, Deborah Davenport, who was the mentor in that part, she shared a very valuable experience that she had learned, and that is that all the skills in the world, the sales skills, technical skills, people skills, as important as they are, and indeed they are all very, very important, they're also all for naught if you don't come at it from your true, authentic core. When you do, however, when you, as we like to say, show up as yourself, day after day, week after week, month after month, people feel good about you. People feel comfortable with you. People feel safe with you. People want to get to know you. They like you. They love you. They trust you. They're much more likely to want to be in a relationship with you, to do business with you, to talk about you to others. So it kind of begs the question, why do people then not show up that way? Why, instead of showing up authentically, do some people show up as a I guess the Latin term would be fonus balonus, right? Not authentic at all. And we might default to the answer, well, because they're trying to pull one over on us or they're not honest. It's a big world. There's plenty of people out there, so there are certainly those. But 99.99% of the time, that's not the case. The reason why most people don't show up authentically is simply because they don't have the self-confidence to do so. Let's face it, it's difficult to show up authentically when you don't feel you have anything worthy of showing up for. So I think it's important that we understand and embrace the value that we have. And as human beings, I think we have two types of value. We have intrinsic value, which means just as a human being, we show up, we bring value to the table. But we also have what I call market value. And I define market value as that combination of strengths, traits, talents, and characteristics that allow a person to bring value or add value to the marketplace in such a way they will be rewarded for it. Now, it might be, again, financially rewarded, it might be emotionally rewarded, it might be mentally rewarded, it might be socially rewarded, whatever way, and they tend to cross the board, whichever is what you're looking to do. The difficult thing, though, and that means we've got to embrace that value that we have. And we do have market value. Different people have it in different ways, different strengths that people have. The challenge, though, is that as human beings, we're so emotionally close to ourselves, it can be difficult to really recognize it, which is why it can be so important to get with a coach or a mentor or an associate or a manager or just someone you trust and have them help you to determine those strengths, those gifts, if you will.
And we're going to talk more about leadership and mentorship in our last segment. It's something I want to circle back to for sure. And it's also helpful because in addition to self-confidence, it can even be self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
It can be, right, to know yourself and be true to yourself. And that can be a deep process. So that outside help can be so helpful. Law number 5, the law of receptivity. The key to effective giving is to stay open to receiving. Talk about this.
Well, it's really, you think about breathing, right? We breathe out, but we also have to breathe in if we're going to survive, if we're going to thrive. We breathe out carbon dioxide, we breathe in oxygen. We breathe out, which is giving. We breathe in, which is receiving. Giving and receiving are not opposite concepts, despite the horrible messages we receive from the world around us. No, it's not a matter of are you a giver or a receiver, you're a giver and a receiver. But we know that we focus on the giving of bringing value to others. Unfortunately, Dr. Mollie, the world around us provides us so many I won't say mixed messages, but negative messages about money, about prosperity. I mean, you think that if you're wealthy, you had to have done it on the backs of others or by taking advantage of others or doing something illegal. Well, again, it's a big world. There are people who do bad things. But by and large, especially to the degree you're operating within a free market where people aren't forced to buy from you, the only way you can bring in financial prosperity is to provide exceptional value to the lives of many, many people. The challenge, though, is because of the messages, the negative messages with which we're inundated, it gets on it comes into our heads and goes right into the unconscious. And if you grow up hearing money is bad, evil people have money, wealthy people are unhappy or dishonest, well, that's what you tend to believe. You don't even know it. And that's what's so insidious about it. But, so you've got to be able to allow yourself to receive. And my suggestion is make a study of prosperity, proactively study prosperity, because all the garbage just comes in naturally from the world around us.
And this is so true in a business sense, and it's also so true of giving of self, right? In our nonprofit is dedicated to helping the helpers. So we help those people that get up every morning dedicated to help the kids or help the veterans or help the first responders, right? The frontline workers, whatever that looks like. But a lot of those people I know listening in are really good at giving, but they can give to the point that they're exhausted and burnt out because they're breathing out and breathing out and breathing out and forgetting to breathe in.
Truly.
And I actually pulled a couple of quotes from your book because I really do want to help our viewers process this more. So you write, all the giving in the world won't bring success, won't create the results you want unless you also make yourself willing and able to receive in like measure. Because if you don't let yourself receive, you're refusing the gifts of others and you shut down the flow. Later you say, trying not to receive is not only foolish, it's arrogant. When someone gives you a gift, what gives you the right to refuse it, to deny their right to give? Receiving is the natural result of giving. And you beautifully explained it with the breathing in and out, but I think that people can't hear this enough because not only in business, but in human services and other areas, I think we do get wired and we do get inundated with a lot of messages. You know, don't be a taker, don't be selfish, you know, give and give. Anything else you want to close out this segment? Anything else you want to say on this law of receptivity?
I think it's just important to, you know, question premises. When you hear people say things like, oh, all millionaires are bad, ask yourself, why? Why is that so? Why is that a fact? Who did that person hear it from? Where did they learn it from? What qualified that other person? Does that make sense economically to think something like that? You know, when you see something like in the Spider-Man original movie where Uncle Ben says to Peter Parker, we may not be rich, but at least we're honest. Question that premise. I don't get it. Why? Does one have something to do? Can a person not be wealthy and honest? You know, so question premises, and again, make a study of prosperity itself.
There are a lot of premises getting shaken up these days with the pandemic. So we're going to pick up here when we come back. Viewers, stay with us.
As the nation's doctor, I often get asked, what should I do if I think I might have coronavirus?
People who are sick should stay home. You don't go to an emergency room, you don't go to a clinic. You get on the phone and you ask for advice and instructions from your physician.
We don't want you to go into the ER or the doctor's office without talking to them first because you might spread coronavirus to someone else. Please visit coronavirus.gov for more information.
Today, more than ever, you need fast, reliable internet. At Mediacom, we want you to know you can count on us. Our fiber-powered 100% gigabit technology network was built for the future. We have enormous capacity and power and 99.99% network reliability. So even though these are uncertain times, we're prepared. And you can be certain we'll keep your world connected.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Welcome back to Resiliency Matters. Today we are speaking with author Bob Burg, and we've been talking about challenging assumptions. And one thing you say, Bob, is successful people deal in truth. Tell us about what that looks like as we live that out.
Well, I mean, it's important that we, while it's great to be positive, positive does not mean ignoring what is. And successful people tend to hold truth as a very high value. When something happens, it's maybe not the most pleasant. They don't deny it. They don't put their head in the sand. They acknowledge the truth. They do their best to understand the truth, and they look at the challenges inherent with that truth. But here's the thing: they don't focus on the problems. They focus on the solution. So, you know, it's not that they're ignoring it, they're acknowledging it, but that they're going to say, okay, there are certain things maybe I can't do with this, but what can I do? And one thing, of course, is we can always control our attitude. Secondly, we can control the actions that we can control.
Excellent. So we're going to put up a graphic. We've been talking about these laws, but you also have done this handy dandy graphic that our viewers can go to your website and get, called the Go Giver Way. But these laws really kind of settle down into create value, touch lives, build networks, be real, and stay open. And I often say with my work in resilience and life design, that I really am helping people work with their natural design and stop working against it. And I think the same is very true of your Go Giver Way. How do you see this work go so far beyond business to really be helping people work with and honor their design?
Well, I mean, I think success principles work across the board. So when we talk about success, we're really talking about success in terms of financial, physical, spiritual, mental, emotional, social, relational, in any way. And I think you bring up a great point that there are certain areas that, it's us. And we need to be able to tap into that. And that's how we want to. Again, doesn't mean we can't improve upon those things, but we go with those natural, those innate qualities. And, we typically want to use them as strengths in order to propel us and propel the world around us so that the lives of the people we touch are made better because of us. So
the last piece I want to touch is our shared study of and appreciation for leadership and mentorship. Our viewers probably don't know you wrote the foreword to my book, Walking with Justice.
Beautiful
I love that foreword.
Book. I so love that book.
Thank you. I so appreciate your support of it. And you have written and speak a lot in leadership. You also hang out with some pretty amazing people, the community of go-givers that you have built. So I know that you're front row to seeing some leaders really step up in these times, and we all need to be stepping up. Share some thoughts as we close out here about leading through this pandemic or just times of great adversity.
Well, it first and foremost, it's remaining congruent with your values. So, whatever kind of culture you've set within your company and whatever values you stand for, those need to be honored. Nothing changes because of this in terms of your character, in terms of your values, okay? Strategies certainly change. We need to do a lot of, in football, what are called audibles, right? And do absolutely, but character is immutable. It's immovable, it's unchangeable. Right now, I think leaders need to, and we've seen some great examples of this, where they make sure when they're doing calls now, remote calls with their team members, before you talk business, make sure you talk personal. Find out how they're doing. How are things really with them? What are some of the challenges they're dealing with, and what are some of the good things that are happening with them in terms of the closeness maybe they're regaining with their family, or something really cute that the kids or one of the pets did. There's all sorts of ways to really make sure people know that you care about them, and that's always important. But how much more so when we're talking about a situation such as this?
Excellent. Thank you for this great advice. We're going to put this Go Giver Way graphic up again with the link to your website. I want people to come and visit you at bobburg.com. You're also very active on social media, engaging, and so people can find you and join the conversation. Thank you, my friend. It was wonderful to see you today.
Thank you, Dr. Mollie. I treasure you as a friend and mentor, and it's great being with you.
Well, and the whole Marti party loves you too, Uncle Bob. And to you viewers, thank you for joining us on MediaCom MC22, your local programming leader. Take good care, and remember, we thrive together.